You might wonder, how is a level this simple so hard to beat? How could the odds of beating this level only be 0.0007%? I mean, it's just some arrows beneath some crumbling blocks with a straightforward path. And oh... So you might wonder, how on earth do you get past this? Is there a secret glitch to get through here? Is there a secret path to get to the other side? Well, no. It actually lies in this arrow right here. So how do you even activate this arrow? Well, let's start at the beginning. So one day I was wondering, can I make the hardest level an ultimate chicken horse? I wanted to try this, but then immediately realized I do not have the skill to actually make that hard of a level and actually beat it. But then, I looked to the other way and realized, you don't actually need any skill to make the hardest level in the game. Meet these 4 items: the boxing glove, the arrow, the crumbling block, and the spike. These are the main characters in this level. With these items, it is entirely possible to make a functioning lock mechanism that requires no skill from the player, but only pure luck. So once I had this genius idea, I started creating a few prototypes, and once I realized this might actually be possible, I called my friend Medicus, and we hopped on a call. I showed him my idea, but we both quickly realized something. Even though we had something the player could use as inputs, how would we actually make the locking mechanism? We first decided to choose which out of these punching gloves would be correct. Then we added rows of these gloves so that when you hit a punching glove, it starts a chain reaction which eventually destroys this crumbling block. And this is also where the arrow and spike come in. Once all the crumbling blocks are destroyed, the arrow has a clear path to destroy this crumbling block, allowing the player to make it to the end. But if the arrow is constantly shooting, wouldn't that just destroy the blocks? Well, no, because that's where the spikes come in. They protect the crumbling blocks from the top, so only the correct boxing gloves can destroy them. So at this point we had made a functioning mechanism where only a few boxing gloves are correct. But then we realized, the player could just hit every punching glove and guarantee that they make it to the end. So we needed some way to punish the player for hitting the wrong gloves. So then we made another row of gloves, going the opposite direction, so once you hit the wrong one, it destroys these crumbling blocks, which leads to the arrows to kill the player. However, we quickly realized we had a problem: level fullness. Our level was getting dangerously close to reaching 100% before we could even implement the second mechanism. We needed some way to make this way more efficient, so we could actually fit all of this into the level. We decided to simply remove all of the bars that were necessary and some spikes, and once we could fit the mechanism into the level, we were finished. If you hit the wrong ones, you die, and if you hit all of the correct ones, you make it. Once we finished this level, we gave it to one of our friends to test out, expecting him to never be able to guess the code, but somehow, within 10 minutes, he had beaten the level. We were shocked. We put so much effort into this just for it to be beaten so quickly. Did he just get extremely lucky? Well, no, it turns out it was incredibly easy to guess the code with trial and error. If you hit the wrong block, he could just die, and if you hit the correct one, nothing would happen to him, and with that he could easily guess the 6 digits. So we had to completely remake the level. We had to make it in a way so the player can't tell if they just got it right or wrong until the end. We tried so many ways, but the restrictions of the level maker just kept getting in the way. At this point we were both lost. We had no idea what to do. I was seriously thinking that we might just have to give up on this, until Medicus built this mechanism. It might look very basic, but very quickly I saw the potential. It was way more efficient than what we had built before, but did basically the exact same thing. So immediately we deleted all of the punching gloves and implemented this mechanism. So, how does it work? This mechanism is actually built right into the floor. The player jumps on one of the blocks and the arrow shoots up. It hits a punching glove, which starts a chain reaction to hit one of the crumbling blocks. It might look exactly the same to you, but the magic happens when you hit an incorrect one. This is the mechanism we made for it. So, how does it work? We decided to implement this timer, which destroys these crumbling blocks. Once all of them are destroyed, the arrow goes into this portal, which causes it to break these crumbling blocks, so the arrow can destroy these blocks, which triggers another set of arrows, which blocks the way and makes this impossible. But this is a timer, so what if you just run on all the blocks before the timer runs out? Won't you just beat the level again? Well, in this state yes, but that's why we also made this mechanism. Once you hit a wrong block, it starts a chain reaction which causes these punching gloves to completely destroy every arrow that comes in its way. So now we thought we had finally made it. We tested out so many different scenarios and each one went perfectly. If we run across all the blocks, we're stuck. If we only get the correct ones, we make it. If we play like an actual player and get some wrong, maybe some right, we're still stuck. We had finally done it, a locking mechanism that no one could somehow cheese. We both hopped off the call and called it a day. Afterwards, I kept thinking about the level. Surely there was some way the level could be cheesed. And that's when I figured it out. It's these crumbling blocks. When you hit an incorrect one, nothing happens, but if you hit a correct one, you can sprint to the right and see the crumbling block falling. This way, you could do trial and error again to figure out the correct code. I knew I needed a way to move this off the screen. I decided to move the crumbling blocks more to the right and add portals for this arrow to redirect it to shoot the crumbling blocks. It was quite hard to do since I would always run out of level space, but finally, after all the struggles and all the hopelessness, we had finally done it. An actual lock mechanism that can't be cheesed, which barely fits into the level. Now there was actually no way to tell if you got the code right or wrong until the end. This was it. We actually did it. I showed it to Medicus and we both tried, and there was no way a casual player could guess the code. Out of these 15 blocks, there are a total of 32,767 total combinations. The combination could just be the first one, or maybe all 15. I'll put the level code on the screen, and maybe you can become the first to beat it, although I highly doubt you will. But this isn't quite where the story ends. As I was finishing writing the script, I wondered, surely I can remove all of the unnecessary things, and maybe add a few more digits. I hopped onto the level editor, removed everything that wasn't absolutely necessary, and hyper-optimized the mechanism. It was extremely close, and I wondered if adding extra digits was even possible, but after almost remaking this entire mechanism, I had finally done it. With that, I was able to add 2 extra digits. And with only those, the chances decreased from 1 in 32,767 all the way to 1 in 131,071. And with this level using 4,995 out of 5,000 blocks, I knew there was nothing else I could add. We had finally done it. The truly most mathematically impossible level in Ultimate Chicken Horse that was truly foolproof. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting this channel by liking the video, and if you want to see more like this, consider subscribing as well. This video took a long time to make, from creating the level to editing this, so any form of support would be greatly appreciated. But anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.